The movie Glory Road starts off as Don Haskins, a girls' high school coach, winning their state championship. As he was coaching, a recruiter from Texas Western College was in the stands. Texas Western calls Don asking if he would like to coach their men's basketball team, which he accepted. Due to having a low budget from the school, Don had to look for players that weren't at the top of the list. Don went to the college summer league to try and recruit players, but most of them declined. During the summer league game, he noticed Bobby Joe Hill. Hill was a black player who at the time was on the bench and saw little time on the court. Don saw potential in him and gave Hill an offer, but Hill declines because he did not want to be another black player on the bench. Don said he saw no color, just potential. Hill gives in and accepts his offer to play for Texas Western. Don went to go around the country to look for more players, and based on the school's budget, he had to look into low-profile places like the streets and little schools. The team had a total of 7 black players and 5 white players, which was unheard of in 1965. The first practice comes along, and the team doesn't take Don seriously due to finding out he was a girls' basketball coach. Don smiles and the practice becomes brutal. Don explains his rules for the team as well as what type of basketball they will play. Don was all about fundamental and defensive basketball. As they get into the season, they play against number 5 Iowa. The team realizes they couldn't just play Don's style game to win. Hill had to persuade Don to let them play their game. Don agrees, but only if they still play his way as well. They end up winning the game, and the team immediately becomes a lot closer, celebrating their win by going out together to an all-black party, which the black players bring out the white players. From there on, they were off to the races, becoming undefeated until they had incidences of racism. These incidences made the black players feel on edge with the white players on the team. This made the team less unified. Having no team cohesion was the reason they had their first loss against Seattle before the NCAA tournament. After the Seattle game, they had a team meeting and soon realized they needed each other to win the rest of their season. Racism got into their heads, but Don motivated them to shake off the hate and hold their heads up. Don tells them the only way to shut them up is to win. So the Texas Western basketball team makes their way all the way to the championship game where they face Kentucky. Don makes a decision to play only the 7 black players, and they end up winning against Kentucky and forever changing the game of basketball.
Arousal is a blend of physiological and psychological activation, varying along a continuum, and anxiety is a negative emotional state with feelings of worry, nervousness, and apprehension associated with activation or arousal of the body. Throughout the movie, multiple people and fans around them, including themselves at times, consistently tested the coaches' and players' arousal and anxiety, affecting their performance. In one scene, when the team was at a diner to eat breakfast before their game, Neville Shedd is severely beaten by a group of white men due to the fact that he was black and he was a part of a successful basketball team. Once that incident occurred, the team's cognitive state anxiety went up and shifted their mindset away from winning their next game. For a period of time, they were only worried about themselves and not the team's goal to win. The team worked through their differences and increased their trait anxiety and lowered their cognitive state anxiety to set them on the winning path again. As their arousal and anxiety was continually tested, they learned and grew from each situation, making them better. The team went through multiple stages of the drive theory and anxiety direction and intensity, where the team was brought down by a situation and used it to increase state anxiety for the game that they had at hand. And each time, but once, did they lose. So the players looking to thrive and face adversity overcame the racism. Therefore, this increased their state anxiety and performance as they worked their way to the championship. Not once did the team get too hyped simply because they knew where they stood in comparison to the people around them. It would have cost them a lot, and they never would have been as successful if they had been. This allowed for optimal attention so that their arousal was never too high or too low. Overall, I agreed with their approach Coach Haskins took in that he kept his players modest and humble. He always told them the truth about any situation at hand. The championship was the culmination of it all by the white players agreeing to take a backseat to the black players, letting them show the world what they can do and prove a point.
In the movie Glory Road, there's a great example of group and team dynamics. Now, a team is a group of people who interact with each other to accomplish shared goals. In Glory Road, there's an excellent example of the linear perspective of group dynamics, and that includes a forming stage, a storming stage, a norming stage, and a performing stage. Now, the forming stages happened when Coach Haskins had to form his new baseball team on a limited budget. There was instant hostility between the white and black players, but in the cafeteria scene they began to get to know each other and joke around and play a game of basketball. There are a couple instances of storming in the movie. The first was when Coach Haskins told his players not to go out or party, but they went out and partied anyway and were hungover at practice the next day. There was a lot of tensions between the players and coaches when the players urged Haskins to let them play their game instead of his game. Another example of storming was after the incident at the hotel. The black players did not trust their white teammates, and they lost the game because they had no motivation to play. There was also a lot of racial tension throughout the movie in general. Norming began to happen when the coach's fundamental style started to combine or blend with the players' own street ball style. The coach gives them rules, and the players began to understand their roles and how hard they really had to work. Performing obviously happened when the team ended the season with a 28-1 record and won the NCAA championship title. The overall message of team dynamics was that the team was divided by race and there was no trust among any of them. They needed to learn how to work together to achieve their goals. They worked through their adversities and harnessed the outside threats and diverted the bad energy and used it to become better teammates and better players while making their way to win the championship. Team dynamics was effective because Coach Haskins started 7 black players in the championship game to make a statement, and the white players accepted their role as teammates on the bench. I agreed with the strategy used by Coach Haskins because he had to realize that he needed to create a team that worked well together and that would overcome racism, become better people, and use all the outside harassment to fuel their motivation to achieve their goal.
If we were high school basketball coaches, we would incorporate the movie Glory Road to explain team dynamics. The use for the movie would be shown to the team during preseason, so the team can start becoming unified early before the actual season begins.
Glory Road shows a lot of team dynamics, and that it shows that you have to put aside differences for a greater common goal. Also, Glory Road shows that players not only have to become better teammates, but better friends and people as well.
As we meet as a team, we would do team building activities where we would eat out as a team or watch film together. This so that we will have the team together and we can use it as a bonding strategy for team dynamics. Also, team meetings would be a good place to figure out the cliques within the team and try to break up the differences so that teams can be one, ensuring that everyone is working for the common goal.
Desperation time now for Kentucky in the final seconds. Here's a miss by Cron. Latin has the rebound for Texas Western. He gives it to Bobby Joe. Looking at the clock, watching it count down. 10, 9, 8. The Miners are on their way to victory. This is the greatest upset in NCAA history. Texas Western is the new national champion.
I'm a national champion. I'm a national champion.